Welcome to the Mostly Pod Out at Night. Mostly, I am Graveyard, joined by my co-host Salem.
Hello.
We did it. We survived 2023 and all the shit movies from it. With Silent Night Tonight behind us, thankfully. What better way to start the new year than with our now second annual top 5 and bottom 5 of the year? We're looking at movies that came out in 2023.
We need to come up with a name for it.
A year
I
in
think
fear.
I think it should be our annual Judgment Jamboree.
There you go. Let's do that. So if we just rank movies off of what we watched in 2023, our bottom list would be a hell of a lot easier to make because we've arguably watched some of the worst ones in the past 2 weeks.
For sure.
Uh,
But yeah, none of them came out this year though.
correct.
Or sorry, last year.
Correct. So like I said, we do retrospective. If a movie came out at a film festival in 2022 but didn't hit to major theaters or streaming until 2023, we count that as 2023. Just because we do have some movies that like came out the tail end and then just squeaked by at the beginning of the year. Like, because I think Megan was one of those ones as well that technically came out in 2022 but was released to the general public in 2023. So what better way to start off from counting from fifth best all the way to best and to the worst as well as we continue this epic journey into 2024. And so we won't be talking too much about the movies, especially movies that we've already discussed. But we will have dishonorable mentions and honorable mentions. That stuff that was close enough to making it to the top fives for us to at least mention saying, hey, you should go ahead and watch this, or hey, steer clear of this shit. So, I will start first with the top 5. We'll alternate here for this stuff. So, in my head,
So we're starting 5. We're starting off at 5, counting down to 1.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, fifth best for each of us, count to what we think is the best. And it'll be interesting to see because we've had some previous discussion of where some of these are, and we realize that we're going to have some of the same movies, obviously, but most definitely bottom 5 were pretty even across the board for most of those. But without further ado, I will start off with my number 5 best for 2023. I will probably have to give it to Thanksgiving. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie a lot. So we were discussing this. It's hard to sometimes pick the best 5 that we have. Yes, we have our scores that we gave them throughout the year, kind of as like a point. But anyone that listens know that we had this hard reset of what is bad and what is good because of the Exorcist series.
Correct.
So in this past October, we had our scales reset. So we just kind of take those scores into account and watch movies that we didn't necessarily have time to review in 2023. So yeah, I said mine's Thanksgiving. It was a good slasher. We covered this immensely on the previous episode, so make sure to listen to that. But yeah, I mean, it was a good slasher and it was unexpected for a 2023 slasher. What about you? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is No One Can Save You. I don't think you watched this one, did you?
I did not watch this, and I know we definitely did not review it, or I would have watched it.
No, it's interesting. A 10,000 foot view. It's like it's kind of like a home invasion slash like town takeover for aliens.
Mhm.
But the interesting thing about the movie is there's only like one spoken line in the whole movie, and that line is not till over an hour in.
Nice.
So yeah, the whole movie is like they're not like deaf or anything like that. It's not like A Quiet Place where you have to be quiet. It's just like it was just a choice for the way that they filmed it.
Mhm.
It was interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. The way that it was done was cool. Again, the no spoken words thing. It made it more interesting. Just because just the way that it was filmed and the approach to it. I don't know. It was fun, and I don't like alien home invasion stories, so it spooked me out a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you think it's good enough, we should probably lump this into 2024, so I have an excuse to watch this and lump other alien home invasions with it. Um,
Yeah, we definitely can.
there's plenty of those. We look at our list. We have a legitimately planned like the first 3 months of 2024 planned out at least, right? Or is it 4 months?
4 months, but we can shuffle stuff.
Yeah, as new things pop up, there's a lot of movies that are TBD right now. They're just kind of up in the air, and we'll rearrange stuff as we need it. So yeah, I think we should add that to the list for sure. All right, so my number 4, and where it gets a little bit tricky for me. So I'm looking at my list. I'm just going, what really is number 4? Did I like Infinity Pool say better than VHS 85? Um, I think so. So I'm gonna go with VHS 85 as my number 4. As once again we covered this when the VHS stuff. That was kind of a catch up episode for us. So I think our first catch up episode, because we'd done all the previous VHS series last year in October, and we did miss 2 movies that were spin-offs of the VHS series. And VHS came back, I think last year they came back hard with it being good again. And I think
Yeah,
they continue that trend.
yeah, I've always liked that. The only one I didn't like was Viral, and that one was really bad. Unfortunately, I'm glad it got revived.
Yes. Yeah, it's an interesting take. And like I said, Viral was just abysmal. Like, we couldn't think of really our best ones because I think it was only like 3 stories and they're all craptacular.
Yeah, none of them are good.
Yeah. So once again, we covered this previously in last Halloween. So make sure to check that out. You can hear all the reasons for it being on our top 5 list. But how about you? What's your number 4?
My number 4 will be Sick.
Yes.
I mean, it's I mean, basically like a generic kind of slasher. But I think the thing that hit the vibe with me is it really picked up on that pandemic fear, right?
Hmm.
So like this is, I mean, set at the very, very beginning of the pandemic when like lockdowns were just starting out. I think it's like set in like April of 2020. So it's
And
just
people
like
were having COVID parties. Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah. So it's like, but it like they literally have all the fear of everybody wearing their mask, the fear of like or can you get sick from like food, So they're like wiping down pizza boxes with like bleach, rags and stuff, all of those weird fears that were at the very beginning of the pandemic because nobody knew what the fuck was going on. And then I don't really want to spoil the true story of it because yeah, you really should watch it. But it
Yeah.
really is pandemic centric.
Yeah.
Like even the killing, the whole plot behind what's going on is all like pandemic centric, and I thought it was really cool. Well done.
Oh, I completely agree. I definitely watch this. Like I said, we didn't include this onto our movie watching. We should as well at some point in time, but it's kind of like we discussed before in other places that how long would it take for the lockdown COVID to become not taboo anymore, right? And this, we had the movie Host that took place just because it was a seance over Zoom essentially, but it was because of pandemic. But Sick really heightens, like, it's like the new version of, like, say, Contagion or Outbreak.
Right. Yeah, but kind of told through like a traditional kind of slasher
Yeah.
method. So I thought it was just fun. It was well done.
I think if it was set outside the COVID pandemic, would it be as good? Probably not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Probably not. But yeah, for me, it just really tapped into that that
Yeah.
pandemic fear where like everybody was like, "What do we do?" Like, I should never leave the house again.
Oh, we it's still fresh in a lot of our memories. But yeah, I mean, they did it, I think, really well. in the movie Sick. I didn't. I was reading the synopsis and I was looking at it and I was going to watch it. I'm like, is this going to be good or is this going to be like, what path, what side would they take on this? Of the, because there's obviously maskers and anti-maskers in the whole pandemic,
Right.
and I think they show kind of both sides decently well.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so next up, number 3 for me, and it's just funny because last year we had uh 2 Mia Goth movies in the 2 parts of the 3 trilogy. We had X as great and Pearl as shit.
Mm-hmm.
But we have another Mia Goth movie that's not by Ty West, but Infinity Pool for me. It was fantastic. It was, if they would have said this was a HP Lovecraft inspired story, I would absolutely see it. Um, but that was a Cronenberg, right?
Brandon, yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Cronenberg. And yeah, I mean, it definitely has his style. But like I said, to me, there was enough kind of science fiction-y stuff to be in the HP Lovecraft world. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, we definitely cover it. I know we both thoroughly enjoyed it because then we got to watch other Brandon Cronenberg movies that I hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Which this was a strong start because this was like beginning of the year movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like in
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it
January.
was pretty early. It was pretty early for sure.
Yeah, so I mean that was a great year, or a great way to really start off the year of horror for 2023. The acting was superb, the premise was superb, everything, like the debauchery that the people had, like, okay, I don't necessarily feel sorry for them. They're a bunch of assholes, but they did it really well.
Right. Yeah.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you saw this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's essentially, yeah, because we didn't review this one, but it's essentially like, I guess you can boil it down to there's like a cursed object, which
Hmm.
is like a kind of like a corpse hand. And if you like hold onto this corpse hand and then like say the right phrase, you like start seeing like dead people.
Yes.
And then if you say the other right phrase, the dead people will like take over your body and you'll be like a medium.
Hmm.
And so like essentially a bunch of kids get this thing and like turn it into a party trick.
Right.
They just get drunk and they start doing all this party trick stuff. And of course, it
It's on
starts going too
TikTok.
far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It goes too far. People get hurt, it devolves into madness. But just this kind of way that it was shot, it's just kind of interesting and fun, where it kind of over time just kind of like loses more touch with reality.
Hmm.
So where you don't know what's going on as you get towards the end, and I think that's on purpose for sure. But I think it was just it was a fun kind of just a different take on that kind of genre and the whole ghost thing,
Hmm.
as like not like a super spooky thing. It was like they just were doing it like just having fun.
Yeah.
Of course, it went bad, but at first it was just a drunken party game.
Correct. I mean, I'll just kind of roll into it just because that's my number 2 is Talk to Me. Um, and yeah, you're like, was I able to kind of call the ending a little bit, but
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's not like it's blowing new ground with where the story was going. I think it was just the approach to it was fun.
yeah, we've watched a lot worse cursed item movies in our lives.
For sure.
That's Annabelle 3 through 30. Let's go with those. But yeah, Talk to Me was an interesting twist. It was, not American. So it was interesting to see another culture's, cursed item object, whether it is the hand that has paper mache, believed to be an actual medium's hand that was like statuized essentially, right?
Right.
And it
Yeah. I
just
mean,
kind of
yeah. Whatever
shows,
it was for real. So
yeah, Yeah, so it is interesting to see how they blurred that line of holding the hand versus not holding the hand, and that once you break open the veil, that you can't necessarily close it, especially after a time period. It's like flatliners, but with a cursed object.
Right.
They were trying to go longer and longer and longer, and it's just interesting. I think you nailed it right on. It's just a different take and just a unique twist, and I think it was done visually stunningly good. And it's something that's not really talked about. It was kind of went under the radar here in the states. I feel.
I mean, it was a little bit of a buzz for a minute there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I had heard things, and that's why I watched it.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, definitely not as big as it should have been.
Correct. This is definitely something that we should cover more with cursed objects, because there's I don't know how many hundreds of cursed object movies out there that we should throw this into as well, just because it's something we just didn't have time to cover, in 2023.
Right.
So what's your number two?
So number two is Bo is Afraid. Um, I don't, some people would tell me like, is that a horror movie? I don't know if it is it like up in the air that it's a horror movie or not.
It is. For some reason, it is up in the air. I don't know why.
I mean, I consider it. I mean, again, it's got like weird like fantasy aspects to it, but like, I mean,
Mhm.
there's definitely parts of it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's like a giant penis monster,
Yes,
and
there
there's like
is.
people trying to murder him all the time. I mean, there's definitely horror aspects of it. I think it's like a multifaceted movie, and I think horror is one of the facets. And it's not only a horror movie for sure.
Right.
Um, but anyway, but again, and it's a long movie, and I think that people see the 3 hour time and they just didn't watch it because a lot of people were like, one, is that a horror movie? Two, I didn't watch it. It
Yep.
was too long. And I think it's just it's a lot of a time investment. I don't think a lot of people went into it, but I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was fun. All the craziness that's happening behind the scenes, like I
Hmm.
mean, you watch it the second time and it's like there's a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff that you miss because there's just so much happening.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that it's
I
fun.
completely agree. Yeah, as we discussed before, it's satire, but it's like the worst case scenario of everything. Picture what you thought Times Square was in the '80s, or New York and all the muggings, and that's the New York that he lives in.
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Like yeah, it's complete madness. But
Right.
yeah, no, it was I thought it was great. And that's why it's number two.
Yeah. Awesome. So, anyone who knows me probably knows what my number one is. And just because it only had a voice cameo by Bruce Campbell, doesn't make it any less of an Evil Dead movie.
I mean
Evil
it's
Dead
in
Rise.
the title it says Evil Dead right there, buddy.
That's true. Evil Dead Rise. We discussed this as we did all the Evil Deads. We didn't do the TV show, but the five Evil Dead movies. And it this is a franchise that's hard to kind of get into and try to be different, because everyone is synonymous with Bruce Campbell being in Evil Dead and Sam Raimi doing it. And I think Fede Alvarez did a fantastic job in 2013. And I think that continued in Evil Dead Rise. Um, it's gory. It has callbacks without being too overtly obvious. There's a lot of hidden Easter eggs in there. You just kind of got to realize. And they're right. It took the evil out of the woods and brought it into the city. Well, a waterlogged apartment building, but still the city. I think everything was great. I like that. They didn't have any issues with making kids and or teenagers into Deadites. That was never really looked upon how kids can turn into it. I think everyone did a fantastic job. I think um the main Deadite woman, the mom, I don't remember her name. I'm sure you do. Um,
The Viking
yeah,
Queen.
yes. I think everything was done really well, and that's why it's my number one. What's your number one?
My number one is going to be one that you already mentioned. It's going to be Infinity Pool. Just because, yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It's just that, you know, madness made into film.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a bizarre movie to even try to explain. But it's yeah, I thought it was great. I'm excited to see where Brandon Cronenberg goes next for sure.
Yes, I mean, when we first met, you were you still are a bigger Cronenberg family lover than I was, but I've come to grow and appreciate the Cronenberg family and what they do. But yeah, it's definitely, as I said before, a strong kickoff to 2023. Yeah, completely understand your ranking.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was the cream of the crop, the top of the top for us. Well, it's time to look under our shoes for the shit that we stepped in along the way. I can't think of a better way of putting that. So, um, we our bar was reset for bad movies this year. We thought we saw really bad movies. We were wrong. And this year gave us the tagline: "We watch bad movies, you don't have to," because of this year. Realistically, so you can go ahead and start with, we're kind of down to the worst one for us, and we start with the fifth worst. And why don't you go ahead and start with that?
My fifth worst movie this year is going to be The Devil Conspiracy. It's gross. It's very bad, and I don't think you watched this one.
I did not watch
You
this
don't
one
have
though.
to. It's
Okay.
it is essentially some like I don't like ancient group of people who are supposed to be like guarding like the place where Lucifer fell to earth somehow managed to like get like angel DNA and like somehow clone the Antichrist. It's I mean the premise is just bizarre. I think the, the the movie itself is just complete garbage. I mean there's nobody in it really. I think the only people in it is like the guy who always plays like the very dark black guy that's not Jimon Hansu, the other guy. It's like, when you always get the very dark, like foreign
Yeah.
warrior, it's either
Yes.
Jimon Hansu or the other guy. It's the other
Yes. Okay.
guy. He's the only guy in it. And
Huh.
he plays I think he plays Gabriel. Anyway, the angel like armor design is just stupid. I mean, there's like they're like in hell. It's just it's bad. Don't watch it. I unfortunately did.
Yeah. I probably not going to watch it. It sounds like a mix between the Pope's Exorcist and the Nun.
uh,
Maybe
it's like okay. It would be like if you mixed. Oh, I don't even.
Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, it'd be like if you mixed Prince of Darkness with like Legion,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
badly.
right. Both were good movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like both were good movies, but you try to mix the concept of both of them, but then do it the wrong way. That's what it is.
Hmm. Um. So for me, my number five is Loose Threads, the movie, also known as Insidious Red Door.
Ugh.
Obviously, we discussed this movie at nauseum in our Insidious watch-throughs. When the franchise did not bear well against us, to say the least.
No, I mean the only good thing I can say about Insidious is it's better than um The Conjuring. That's it.
Yes.
That's the only good thing is that they're very similar. They have like the same lead actor
Mhm.
and like I guess kind of the same kind of themes, I guess. But yeah, that's the only thing I'd say going forward is it's not as bad as The Conjuring, and that's it.
We discussed this a lot. I discussed it with the wife. She's like, I liked it. I didn't like it for reasons.
Well, yeah, this movie, I don't like it because the fucking plot threads are all over the place. Like,
Yes.
there's like 3 major plot threads that they don't even like recognize need to be followed. They just
Mhm.
stop.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that's on my number 5, just because it's atrocious, and unfortunately, it's not done because we are getting Threads,
Yeah.
the movie
Ugh.
coming out in
Yeah.
2024. So
Maybe
we
maybe they'll
kind of
pick up on the 3 failed plot lines from the first one. Then maybe that'll be why they left them open.
maybe we'll have to go back and as a catch up for that.
Or not.
Now, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Insidious Red Door. Enough said.
Yeah, that's you know, maybe we'll eat our words, and maybe we just named the title correctly for the episode of Loose Threads or Unresolved,
Right.
because everyone gave it praise. Why? I don't.
I don't I don't get it either. I don't understand.
Um, my number 4 is the Boogeyman.
Or Sophie Thatcher.
Yeah, I don't think it was her fault.
No, I just yeah, I enjoy her. It's sad to see.
Yeah, it is such a generic premise. It's such a generic movie. We ranted a lot about this movie too. Just because it was so right. We
Yeah,
discussed
it's
this.
unnecessary.
Yeah,
Unnecessarily bland.
right. And then the twist help that she gets, bullshit. You know, move the flame left if you're here. Oh, move the flame left into this kerosene. And all of a sudden it moves left.
Right.
And all the reasons of, hey, you're afraid of the dark. Hey, let's play video games in the complete dark.
Right, yeah. Genius move.
Yeah. What's your number?
My number 3 is She Came from the Woods. I know that you kind of sort of liked this movie, but I despised it. I hated this movie. It just I know we went over it, but just the stupid like failed nostalgia they tried to instill in there.
Mhm.
I mean, just the complete like misunderstanding of like time and how like plot threads are supposed to work. And I mean, again, this movie was just sloppy and all over the fucking place and way too cheesy and is too. No, I don't like it.
Right. As we discussed, they shopped at the 80s section at Target for the
Right,
80s clothes.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, I like it because I went into it expecting the cheese and enjoying cheese, and we all know that I love cheese. So, you know, I mean, it was on my bottom list. It was a contender in here for top 5. Just because it is bad. I know it's bad, so I try not to hold my love of cheese against it or for it. So, my number 3, I know it's on our dishonorable mentions. You can go more into it when we get to that part, but it's A Wonderful Night.
Ugh.
We very recent last new movie of 2023 that we watched. Awful.
Trash.
Awful. I think we both gave it 0.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Out of what we gave Olives, I don't remember, but yeah, it was just generic accent that Justin Long was going with. It's just the Joel McHale not really being the character that he's saying the lines as, and just the bash over the head of everything stupid with it. Oh, I found love in Weirdo, therefore my friend's dead. Yeah,
Yeah. Who gives a shit about my friend?
right.
Again,
Yeah.
yeah. Drop plot threads. It's a theme of this year, I think.
Oh, it very much is. All right. So, what is your number 2? I think this is where we're going to start matching up here.
Yeah. It was a hard decision on to which was 1 and which was 2 here, but I'm gonna go with My number two is Skinamarink.
Yes.
Now, this movie, I've heard people say it was their favorite movie of the year. I've heard people say it was their worst movie of the year. I don't understand it, but this movie is just like there's two things I'm going to say about it. One, it does not respect your time
No.
in any way whatsoever. This movie could have gotten its point across in a 15-minute short film. At most, I think it should have been like a 30-minute like Twilight Zone episode. Stretching this garbage out for 1 hour and 40 minutes is unforgivable. It's just again, I had like the interesting things that happen in this movie are fun and interesting. I won't deny that, but like the interesting thing happens, and then you're watching like darkened hallways, the tops of doorways, like the corner of a television playing like, old timey cartoons from like
Mhm.
1930,
Yep.
over and over and over and over and over again. And literally, so it's like a thing will happen. You're watching all these like stupid fucking filler things for like 15 to 20 minutes. Then another thing will happen. Then you're watching more filler crap. And then all of the like dialogue that happens is okay, one between fucking children. You know how much I love child actors, especially when the movie is only child actors. And then like two, like you can't even understand what they're saying. They have to subtitle what they're saying so that you even know what the hell is happening.
Yes.
Oh, again, we were talking about this earlier, and I think the subtext of this movie should be the sunk cost fallacy, the movie, because it's like you keep watching it, like something's got to happen, right? Like, how does somebody say this is their favorite movie? Like, something has to like happen, and then something does happen. You're like, oh, okay, now it'll get good. Nope. The 15 minutes of absolutely nothing, staring at doorways, and then another thing will happen, and then it's like again, you spent all this time just staring at nothing for like very, very little payoff. Infuriating.
Yes. As I told you, it's Walls, Doors, the movie. The way the camera was up, it's like, okay, we're gonna set the camera down here. Oh shit, we can see people. Make it so we can't see anything. We just want to stare at the wall while we have little kids going. You have to turn subtitles on for even the voices that they're hearing, and then the parents sound like muffled Charlie Brown parents.
Right.
The clasp of the trombone, wah, 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 wah. And like, the scariest thing that happened, the toilet disappeared.
Right. I mean, again, there's again, would this have been an interesting story if it was respectful of my time and like way, way, way shorter? Sure. I think it would have
Right.
been a good Twilight Zone type of episode.
Oh
Would have been a
yes.
good short film, for sure. It would have been. But it's just unforgivable how you would stretch this crap out for that long and make people watch it.
Yes.
This
This
complete waste.
this is one of the movies that my wife's coworkers like, you have to see this movie. It is the most terrifying movie. Much like, we're gonna watch this movie. I'm like, all right, it was the Fisher Price, you know, telephone that we all had with the eyes that rolled as you went across the reels, on the string. And I watched this, I go, what did I watch? I don't feel like I watched anything. I don't know if you ever watched Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah.
Okay, there was an episode where they made a character. The Rocker had to make an episode of the Big Heads, which was the cartoon that the neighbor's son did, and they literally showed a jar of mayonnaise for 30 minutes. And everyone went insane. They also de- blew up the film. And it was just black for 30 minutes. I'm like, these people watched those episodes. They're like, you know what? We can do that for an hour and 40 minutes,
Well,
which
no,
is
here this
nothing.
is this is the worst part is these people think they're original with this crap. That's the
Right.
worst thing. They didn't watch any of this stuff because this is like, elder millennial level cartoons, right? They
Yes.
didn't watch this crap. This is like Gen Z garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is yeah. Again, it's just it's not respectful of your time. It's like essentially it was a YouTuber guy that made it. So
Hmm.
it's like you give a YouTuber guy enough money to film his own movie in his own parents' house,
Yes.
and this is like what he comes up with. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's level scary. Like
Right.
if you're a small child, maybe you'll find this funny or scary, but like I don't understand how a normal adult would think this is anything but annoying.
Right. It easily could have. I mean, this is 100. It said hour 40, right? So this is 100 minutes. They could have done 10 episodes at 10-minute shorts on YouTube, and it would have gotten uh, tens of millions of views.
Yeah, again, it's just there's not enough stuff to fill an hour and 40 minutes. And that again, just like making us stare at fucking doorways, staring at like Lego towns. Like you don't even watch them build Legos. You're just
No.
looking at the resulting of them
Mhm.
playing with Legos. Like there's nothing happening on screen through like this whole movie. It's I don't understand why people are saying this is good. I really hope this guy never makes another movie.
Yeah, slightly interesting off screen.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Skinamarink. And of course, it's funny because they chose the name Skinamarink because that song was from what, the 60s?
I don't know.
From the kids
Probably
show?
probably further than that.
But you know what I mean? Like, so they took the idea that the name of the song from something that's well before our generation and then gave that name and they put stuff that our generation would know and then they copied something that our generation would know. So yeah, not if you're into YouTube shorts, this is how you do it for 10 minutes. Do it there. Don't milk it for that. You
Yeah.
could easily made it 70 minutes and people are like, okay, cool. That's fine. But
I
too long
don't
for us.
I don't think I think 30 minutes would be pushing it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think you could have gotten everything done in 15 with the same effect at the end.
Yeah.
But if you really wanted to stretch it out, you really feel like this is your artistic merit that needs to be shown, then okay, 30 minutes. But anything more than that is just no.
Correct. All right. Well, we had to ramble about that one just we didn't review it. And I don't feel like watching this again to do an episode.
No. I don't I really don't want to.
No, so we're getting our frustrations out now on this movie. Just because it was that bad. But what's the worst movie in 2023? For you?
No surprise. It's gonna be Exorcist Believer. That this movie is absolute garbage. I know we already talked about it. we already went over it. But this movie is just it's a complete waste of everyone's time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
It
there's nothing we already went over. There's nothing redeemable about this pile of crap.
no. No, you know, The Exorcist 2 reset our levels of bad. And this movie just, as we said, go back and watch this. We rant about Exorcist Believer a lot. It is insulting to everyone. It is 2 fucking hours long, and you feel every minute of it. You feel every minute of it. You know, it's just absurd that there's going to be 2 more of these. I don't believe it.
I really hope that it just fails miserably and they just don't even bother.
I really hope so. 'Cause that's going to be like April of 2025, and it's going to be called Deceiver.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right. You are deceivers. You promised people a good movie. You didn't.
Ugh.
All right. Well, so that's our bottom 5, and these are movies we do not recommend that you watch ever.
No, please don't.
If you like Skin and Rink, I'll film my doorways for you and charge you only $5 to see it.
Yeah, I would really because I've heard people say that they like it, but I've never heard the reasons why. I would like now that I've actually seen it. I would like to like have a conversation with someone who thinks it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And I just would love to hear your reasoning as to why watching doorways and a television screen for 15 minutes is a good way to spend my time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's these are the worst ones. So
I think here's what what I think the secret is. I think it's
yeah,
all these kids that are on their phone all the goddamn time. Right. So they just like fucking around on their phone. So they get like 15 minutes in between scenes to play around on their phone because nothing happens. And then
right.
you get an audio cue like, oh, something's happening. So they know to look at the screen to watch the thing that happens. And then they go back to their phone. for 15 minutes. I think that's what it is. I think that like it's people like that that enjoy this movie.
So it's Zoomers, the horror movie.
Yeah, honestly that's what I think it is. I can't see how any normal person would think this is good. Sorry, I'll stop.
That's all right. We've talked to people that like this movie. I'm just going, what? Okay.
Yeah, and when they said that, I knew I didn't think I would like it, but I had not seen it at that point. Now that I've seen it, I would really like to have a conversation.
Yes. All right. Dishonorable mentions. We'll start with those. We have a couple on here that were in our bottom list that as we were picking this out that we kind of just gotta just mention to also not watch. So my first dishonorable mention is Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, do my kids 8 to 11 like this movie? Yes. Does do I think any adult that thinks jump scares in a video game are great will like this movie? Yes. But jump scares not equal terror or horror. Sorry. It is implied violence, implied gore, and just overall not a good movie. There's so many plot holes that you just have like the wavering of the suspension of disbelief is absurd. And what I think is amazing is that there's so many YouTubers that were in this movie that go, well, they owe it to us to be in this movie because we made their game popular because of all our stuff. I go, no, and no. This game was popular before you came around. And to think that you need to be in it and have their fans, their millions of fans, think they also deserve to be in that movie is fucking absurd. That's my reasoning for it. What's one of your dishonorable mentions?
Well, I would say It's a Wonderful Night, but we already went over that. So we're not going to add much to, or I guess we didn't really talk about it, but yeah, It's a Wonderful Knife is just bad. It's not good. I mean, it's a criminal misuse of Joel McHale and Justin Long, I think.
Yes.
I mean the stupid subplots jump all over the place, like people are just like, whatever, people are dead in this world, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Again, it's all over the place. I understand it's supposed to be like a Christmassy themed thing, but like they even went off track. Like it's supposed to be like the title of it's a Wonderful Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
They even like fell apart with that. Like they didn't even follow the same plot line at all. It just like it started that way and then it just went off on its own thing. Yeah, it's just it's not great. I don't think it was bad enough to be in my bottom 5. I know it was in yours, but it was just not good. Just upsetting.
My next dishonorable mention is Pope's Exorcist. I know you did not see that.
No.
But they go, hey, what if we take the Warrens, but we use an actual priest that has performed over 1,000 exorcists, sometimes hundreds at a time? I go, okay.
But if you're doing hundreds at a time, it's easy to get to thousands.
Right. And this is based on the real life guy who found where the Lucifer fell to the ground, where all the angels that fell from heaven hit and opened portals to hell. And he's going to go around and set up like, adventure style, going to go close all the portals to hell. But it's also an Exorcist movie.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And good old, fighting Aussie man. There's Kiwi man himself, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe just needs money. I don't blame him for doing the movie. I had no desire to watch it.
I blame him for his accent in this movie.
Wow.
That's what
I'm sure he was drunk and phoning it in.
Oh, easily. But yeah, just imagine The Exorcist with the Warrens when you got Pope's Exorcist.
Ugh.
Yeah. What's your other dishonorable mention?
I'll say Renfield. Just because like I was hoping for good, and it ended up being like, I don't know. It's like you mix like Dracula and like Warm Bodies together,
Yes.
and that's kind of what you get. It's like a YA version of Dracula. Yeah, there was like more blood and gore than you would expect from like a YA title, but it really felt like the heart of it was like a YA. And I felt like it probably was a YA movie until it got to the point where like they're like, yeah, you know what, just do it, just do the thing. But it was already too far along in the development process to like completely cut it out. I was kind of surprised that they didn't have like a fucking musical in the movie because it felt like that kind of movie, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, it had some potential. I know it was trying to be, tongue in cheek and fun and whatever, and I just don't think it hit the mark.
Yeah, I agree. Like the payoff from Kiss of the Vampire, not payoff for seeing Nicolas Cage as a vampire.
Correct.
So, all right. So we have a couple honorable mentions that we were contending for in our top five. My first one is Last Voyage of the Mirror. It's something that we discussed, and we said, we had just seen Renfield a couple months before this, and we go, you know what, this is a chapter in the book that's very small, and it's just the captain's log. But he made vampires, terrifying, scary, savage, not human. And I think did it well. Kind of the bottleneck movie that all essentially takes place on the meter.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a fun little contained story,
Mhm.
like within an already existing popular mythos, but really not a commonly told tale or version of it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, yeah, there was a wide open place for a story there, and I think they did the job. I think they did a good job.
Yeah. What's one of your honorable mentions?
I'll say When Evil Lurks. Now a lot of people have put this as their number one.
Hmm.
I've seen a lot of lists of top horror movies of 2023, and When Evil Lurks is on the top of a lot of them. Now it was a good movie. It was a fun movie. I mean, thing to note is it's an Argentinian movie, so it is subtitled. And I think there's a lot of cool elements of the movie, but the thing that didn't quite hit for me is there's a lot of weird rules that they have to follow around these kind of possessed zombie-ish people,
Hmm.
and the rules didn't make any sense to me at all. But they weren't explained in any way, and I think it might be just kind of like a cultural disconnect, to where I think there's a cultural reason why certain things aren't or are superstitious or whatever in Argentina, and it just didn't come to us because I just didn't get it. I was like, what? And there was just a lot of weird things that are happening that weren't explained. Again, it's done well. There's some interesting, really cool scenes that you don't expect that happen and stuff. But again, it was just there's a cultural disconnect there, and just a kind of narrative disconnect that just took me out of it more than once. That I don't think it was good enough to hit that top five, but it was definitely up there.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. Maybe we'll go into foreign horror films at some point, more so again. Maybe we'll have to see that one for a long review too. Uh, but next for me is Suitable Flesh, which flew under the radar. I saw trailers for it. You and I discussed it, and I'm pretty sure you saw it too.
Yes.
It is, you know, icons of horror is a couple of people in here. And it was based off of The Thing on the Doorstep, I believe, by H.P. Lovecraft. And if you remember, like our second episode was about H.P. Lovecraft.
Right.
Um,
I think the funniest thing of the movie was I had no idea what this movie was about. I just knew that it was on a lot of people's list. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. I knew that Heather Graham was in it, and I knew that
mhm,
Barbara Crampton was in it. That
right.
is all I knew.
Yeah.
I knew that it was a horror movie with them in it, and that was all. And then it's like one of the first scenes in the movie. It's like Miskatonic University in Arkham, Massachusetts. Like, oh, it's an H.P. Lovecraft story. Like
Yes.
that was I knew it. I knew it was an H.P. Lovecraft story immediately, but I had no idea which one it was.
Right.
So
And
that was fun.
yeah, and the mythos of Cthulhu was the book. It could have easily been the Necronomicon as well. So it is bizarre. It's weird. It's gory, it's nudity, it's everything you expect from an H.P. Lovecraft story and adaptation.
Well, also has sexually charged, which I would not put in an H.P. Lovecraft story. That's one thing that he never really did well.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of that.
Yes. But like I said, it's that weird mythos that works well for the H.P. Lovecraft stories. Um, and I kind of I didn't read the short story that inspired it before, and I should have. But it's know the synopsis of it, and I think it did a good take on it, a modern take on it. So I really appreciate it for that. What is your last honorable mention?
My last honorable mention is I'm just gonna say it because neither one of us put it on our list, but I think it needs to be said is that I liked Scream 6.
Hmm.
I thought they did a good job. I thought it was kind of like a not necessarily a revival, I guess, but I felt like it did a good job. I thought it was moving, forward in a fun direction. It's unfortunate that it's probably the next one probably isn't going to happen now,
Yep, not
because
for a while at
it
least.
appears to have completely fallen apart. So, yeah, I don't know where that's going to go. I think it's on hiatus at least for a while. But
Yes.
I did think it was good. I thought Jen Ortega was delightful. I thought that the movie was fun enough and kept you on your toes and kept you guessing, but it was fun. It was good,
Yeah. I mean,
worth watching for sure.
I obviously enjoy Scream as well. But yeah, it is good. They are continuing. The reason why it's not ranked higher is because the core four.
Yeah,
They are somewhat annoying.
right.
And I will
Well,
give it
again,
props that first one without Nev Campbell, and then that Gail Weathers actually for once got like horribly injured a lot.
yeah. Well, as we discussed, I'm pretty sure she was supposed to die.
Oh yes,
But because Nev Campbell said no, they were like, well, what other OG character are we going to keep?
right, yeah. All right, so that begs the question: was 2023 a better year than 2022 for horror? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, we talked about this a bit. Now, I'm gonna. My conclusion ended up being is that I think 2022 had some higher quality movies in it,
Hmm.
but I think 2020. Did I say 2022? I did.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what 2023 has more decent movies in it. So if it's on a point system, I think 2023 would win. So I think overall there's some higher rated movies in 2022, but overall there's more decent movies to watch in 2023. I had a much harder time with my top 5 list this year than I did last year. There was a
yeah,
lot of movies that I wanted to add. I think I had like
yeah.
5 or 6 after I was like, oh, should these be in the top 5? And I shifted my list around a lot as I was going through different movies. So yeah. But I don't think any of them quite hit the highs like last year. Like I said, I think Barbarian was fantastic last year.
Hmm.
The new Hellraiser was fantastic last year. Smile was great. I mean, there was so many movies that I thought were just awesome. So I would say individually those movies are better than the movies of this year. But again, there was a lot more 7 and 8 level movies this year
Right,
than there was last year. So
right, yeah,
overall, by points, I'd say 2023 wins.
yeah. And it's something we discuss that we're discussing here too. Is that yes? I mean, I think overall our top fives of last year, I think they all scored nine or higher, 9 or 10s across the board for us. And yes, while this year we didn't have as many nines and tens, we still had a probably a good average of 7 to 8. And you're right, there are definitely more of them. As we will down our list, as we start making the list, we kind of go through and like, okay, we watched this, and even stuff that we don't cover on the podcast at that point in time because there's just too many new movies all the time that we go back and kind of do our own personal roundup watch of 2023. I know we did it for 2022 and we did it for 2023, and yes, the rewatches and stuff did shift around some things in there. So yeah, point wise, yes. But I also think that our lows of 2023 were pretty damn low. Yeah, just because we have, we had Jeepers Creepers Reborn, we had Pearl last year that we just tore apart. But I think that we also had that there's more bottom lists as well for us. So I will agree that it is slightly better in 2023 than 2022, just average wise. But yeah, so anything else you want to add to this episode?
Nope.
All right. Well, 2024, it's a new year of fear, so stay tuned for next week's episode, and we'll be diving back into the first director spotlight of 2024 with Aussie director Greg McLean with Wolf Creek 1 and 2 and Rogue. We are hoping to cleanse our palates from this last month of movies that we had in 2023 of all the Christmas themed stuff, because let's face it, sometimes October and December are really rough months to get through. But remember, we watch bad movies, so you don't have to. And this has been Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
This is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.